You know, something's happening when European leaders start having public meltdowns. Well, tonight we're witnessing what might be the most extraordinary display of American power projection since the Cold War. President Trump, just 9 days into his second term, has Denmark, yes, Denmark, in what officials are calling crisis mode. Why? Because he dared suggest something that makes perfect sense. Greenland should be American territory, but it's not just about Greenland. From California's water wars to France's military threats, what's unfolding right now reveals a fundamental truth about global power the mainstream media doesn't want you to understand. And there's a new narrative developing on Capitol Hill. Yes, the halls of power are echoing with terror with Trump's return. And as global power shifts dramatically under Trump's leadership, one asset stands stronger than ever. I'm talking about gold. While Denmark panics over Greenland and European allies scramble to respond, smart investors are following the lead of world powers. China, Russia, and other nations are stockpiling gold at unprecedented rates, preparing for major geopolitical changes. Why? Because gold transcends political tensions and remains stable through global turmoil. Just as Trump is reshaping world order, you need to reshape your portfolio. Noble Gold Investments can help protect your wealth as these historic changes unfold. Visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below, and secure your financial future with gold. That's nextnewsgold.com. Or you can call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Okay, before we get to the international meltdown, there is some huge news that just dropped moments ago. President Trump is now offering 2 million federal workers a buyout to quit. They're calling it a fork in the road. The Trump administration is offering every federal worker an 8-month severance package to resign, expecting 5 to 10% to take the deal, saving $100 billion. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt says taxpayers deserve employees who actually show up to work. Resignation window closes February 6th. Workers will receive an email with a draft resignation letter. All they need to do is reply with one word: resign. That's pretty simple. Just reply with one word: resign. This is apparently a Doge-inspired plan. Speaking of Doge, yes, 30 Tesla Cybertrucks were vandalized. Oh, yeah, the left just can't handle it. Look at all those Cybertrucks with F. Elon spray painted on the front, on the hood, on the side of these vehicles. Yeah, the left just can't handle this new administration and the beauty that it's bringing to America. They are in full trigger mode. And, okay, so we've got a little bit more. Now, they say that it does not apply to all federal workers except from the below link, except military personnel, U.S. postal workers, roles related to immigration enforcement and national security. Okay, those are critical roles, so all the other dead weight can just sign off. President Trump to federal employees. Type the word resign in the subject line, email, and hit send. Here it is. Below is the email that was sent to federal employees on January 28, 2025, presenting a deferred resignation offer. If you do not respond to that email and wish to accept the deferred resignation, you may do so by following these steps. Send an email to your government account, from your government account. Only an email from your Gov or Mill account will be accepted. Type the word resign in the subject line and hit send. That's it. It's that easy to get rid of government waste. President Trump is on the case. Oh, this is a beautiful thing happening right now. And speaking of pushing back, the Trump White House has now rolled out a new social media account that aims to hold fake news accountable. I've been tracking this all day, and it is actually quite awesome. It is the White House Rapid Response X account. Lots of good stuff there, and I will be there every single day. Trump offering a buyout, all 2 million federal workers to resign, according to NBC. Each worker, a severance package, 8 months of pay and benefits, 5 to 10 are expected. $100 billion will be saved. And speaking of saving, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has stripped General Mark Milley's security detail and security clearance. Thank God, it's about time. Looks like he may also be getting demoted, and this is what you get for committing treason against our nation. So we've got some more stuff to get to. I mean, speaking of appointments and resignations, Sean Duffy is now the 20th Secretary of Transportation. Congratulations. You can see this is from the Rapid Response 47 X account. Now, this is the narrative that's being pushed by the left currently. We've got Alina Habba pushing back. We've got the White House pushing back. We've got Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller pushing back on the lies. So I'm going to play some of these clips for you. And I mean, this is the narrative. Mark Warner, they're saying federal funding is going to destroy Medicare and Medicaid and XYZ. Listen.
I've never seen anything this broad, something that will spread more chaos, something that is more disconnected from real people's lives. I hear all over Virginia, we've worked for years on trying to bring federal monies, whether they appear as roads, whether they appear for your local schools. I've supported our cops and our firefighters to get additional equipment. All that's put in jeopardy. We've already heard from, battered women's shelters who are saying they can't operate if they don't have their federal funds. We've heard from road builders who say they got to lay off their workers. We've heard from universities who said, we may not be able to continue to do research. You want to do a review for efficiency? Yeah, have at it. But this is just going to cause chaos. And it does nothing to lower the price of groceries. Donald Trump got hired because he was going to bring inflation down.
You see what he's doing there? He's redirecting, saying Trump isn't doing, that this doesn't affect this, but they're not related. Okay? He is deceiving his constituency right here. Mark Warner. Anyway, you get the point. But Alina Habba, she's pushing back. She told Chuck Schumer, your opinion of the law doesn't apply here.
Our Attorney General... Oh, a couple things first, Chuck. Your Attorney General is not the Attorney General. We have an Attorney General. That will be Pam Bondi. And what your opinion is on what the law is doesn't really matter. It's what the White House counsel says and what our Attorney General of the United States says. What we have done...
Okay, let's go to the White... Okay, here's Stephen Miller right now saying President Trump's executive order that halts federal grants and loans does not affect any federal program that Americans rely on, full stop. This is from C-SPAN.
Is a general. Before we get started, I'm only going to do 5 minutes because we had a whole press briefing with Caroline, and I don't want to.
Stephen, can you just give us a sense? How long is this temporary pause on federal funding? How long is this pause going to last?
Well, the terms of the executive order is 90 days, but it's important to understand that it's a review process to say that there's for discretionary spending that's not directed by Congress or required by law. So this would be, for example, something like a contract to a non-governmental organization to teach, say, critical race theory, that there has to be a politically appointed individual in the departments or agencies who simply reviews and approves the expenditure so that we have control, democratic control over the operations of government. This doesn't affect any federal programs that Americans rely on, full stop.
It's not going to have any impact on any Americans and what they rely on?
Any program, like a benefit program that Americans rely on.
Like Meals on Wheels?
Correct. There's no, the OMB guidance document, which I think you're referring to, because the executive order was issued a week ago, it just gives clarity on how to implement the original executive order, which doesn't cover any entitlement or public benefit spending at all. And that's clear, by the way, if you read, as I'm sure you have, the OMB guidance document.
Can you ask about El Salvador? So we know that the president spoke to President Bukele next week. Secretary Rubio will be in El Salvador.
Okay, so we've got that. And let's go to the press secretary today in her first press conference. This is what she had to say about spending across the
media report. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That is something that President Trump campaigned on. That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
But the left would have you think otherwise. They're pushing a narrative right now that President Trump is canceling grandma's Medicare. Oh, no, it's not true. It is not true at all. But the left would have you believe that. Here's the OMB explaining that mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP will continue without pause. It says it right here. Is this a freeze on benefits to Americans like SNAP or student loans? No. Any program that provides direct benefits to Americans is explicitly excluded from the pause and exempt from the review process. So don't believe anything from the lying media. Yes, here's Chuck Schumer. Funding for law enforcement is now in danger thanks to Donald Trump. That is a bold-faced lie. Is this a freeze on benefits? It is not at all. None of it is. But whatever Mark Warner wants to tell you, it is a complete lie. And speaking of what is happening and lies from Panama. Yes, they are freaking out. Panama is with great speed, President Trump put this out on Truth Social, attempting to take down 64% of signs which are written in Chinese. Why would Panama have signs that were written in Chinese? They're all over the zone because China controls the Panama Canal. Panama is not going to get away with this. And speaking of the Doge, it was established to maximize government productivity and ensure the best use of taxpayer funds. In the first 80 hours, approximately 420 million of the current impending contracts have been canceled. 2 leases have also been canceled. Also, the weaponization of government against its citizens has ended. Censorship by government against its citizen ended. President Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, restored the name of Mount McKinley to America's highest peak. President Trump's first week back in office, most significant in modern history, correcting the course after 4 years of disaster. In just 1 week, President Trump has done more to usher in the golden age of America than most presidents do over their first term. New York Post, Trump is already hitting the ground running as his first 100 days in office are off to a historic start. Okay, now we've got this. This is from Denmark, or Greenland's prime minister signaled that he's open to talks with Trump while pushing for independence from Denmark. Listen to what he says here.
Building toward, we don't want to be Danes or Americans. We want to be Greenlanders. And of course, it's the Greenlandic people who decide their future. I think there's a common understanding of that. And building towards that is also something everyone should respect. And of course, many things are happening globally. It's a changing world. 3 or 4 years ago, we likely didn't expect to be here.
And the issues we have today weren't relevant. Have you been in contact with Donald Trump, the upcoming American president?
No, but we're ready to talk. Together, I think we're both ready to increase dialogue and reach out, and thus also talk about the things that unite us in the world we live in. We don't want to be
So Denmark is freaking out. I do have only one stipulation. If we are to secure Denmark, I want to make sure that Miss Universe, if we are able to secure Greenland, that we also acquire Miss Universe from Denmark. Yeah, this is a deal breaker for me. Yeah, Miss Denmark 2024 needs to be part of the package deal. Now, Chanel Rion did the math. She said if we gave every Greenlander $1 million, that would cost us $57 billion total. That's less than a third of what we have given in Ukraine. Let's listen in to what she had to say on the matter.
It would cost $57 billion. That's about a third of what we've spent on the Ukraine war. For the $175 billion Congress pledged to Ukraine so far, we could have bought Greenland 3 times over. Or how about this? For the money we've sent to Ukraine so far, we could have given 57,000 Greenlanders, every person in Greenland, each $1 million. Given Denmark another $50 billion and poured the remaining $68 billion into Greenland's infrastructure. We're talking about this because Trump, the man in manifest destiny, wants Greenland to join as the 51st state. Trump's desire sparked outrage. But then, all of a sudden, Greenland's prime minister last week stood up and pulled a Thomas Jefferson.
In Greenland, we need to have some growth. We need to have some economic growth and diversify our economy. And of course, we welcome our strong partners, like-minded nations as first. But if they don't invest, there's a lot of companies who also want to invest in this country.
Greenland needs only a 51% vote to leave Denmark. In 2019, a poll indicated that 67% of Greenlanders favored independence from Denmark within the next 2 decades.
Okay. So, if you could tell Trump anything, what would it be?
Buy us.
Buy Greenland?
Buy Greenland.
Why do you want Trump to buy Greenland?
Because we don't want to be colonized by Danish government anymore. We get ripped every year about our minerals from Greenland. We are the richest nation in the world, and we don't get to use it. Denmark's using us too much.
Do you like America?
I love America, but people are too fat over there.
Trump wants to secure Greenland for the United States for defense purposes against China and Russia primarily. Just yesterday, he said this on Truth Social. I am hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son, Don Jr., and various representatives will be traveling there to visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites. Greenland is an incredible place, and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious world outside. Make Greenland great again.
Make Greenland great again. That is what's happening right now. We've also got this here. Denmark preparing to defend Greenland from a possible U.S. occupation. The EU supports Denmark in the coming battle against the United States. I really don't think it's going to come to that, but that is from this one account. The Trump effect continues. Other good news, the United States military just entered the great state of California and under emergency powers, turned down the water flowing abundantly from the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The days of putting a fake environmental argument over the people are over. Enjoy the water, California. Here is, did you hear about this? Oh my goodness, I didn't know this. Denmark has just become, this is how ridiculous Denmark is, has just become the first country to force farmers to pay a flatulence tax or a tax on cows farting. This is what the liberal left lunacy will bring you. Watch.
The climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, the clown world continues. Denmark has just become the first country on the planet to force farmers to pay a flatulence tax or a tax on farting. Because cows, sheep, pigs produce a greenhouse gas called methane or CH4, which contributes to climate change, the government in a green tripartite agreement are making the farmers pay 300 kroner or $42 per ton of methane released to reach their environment goals. As for the price of food, it'll probably skyrocket. New Zealand was also considering implementing the law. Join me on X for more updates. Ladies and gentlemen, the clown world continues. Denmark has just...
The carnival continues, my friends. Oh, yes. President Donald Trump told reporters also Microsoft is in talks to acquire TikTok and that he would like to see a bidding war over the app. That's not all. Yes, the USA has a lot of winning to do. Donald Trump, this meme was just posted. He's turned the water on to California. God bless President Trump. He knows what to do to keep this country going. But Letitia James, she's back in action. Yep, this just in. AG Letitia James sues the Trump administration after a freeze on federal funding. Remember I told you the fake narrative is coming out? This is not a freeze. This is just a pause for 90 days so they can review everything. But now Letitia James is out. She's suing the government. Man, she should just go back to her hole.
Suing this, not only does this administration's new policy put people at risk, but it is plainly unconstitutional. The president does not get to decide which laws to enforce and for whom. When Congress dedicates funding for a program, the president cannot pull that funding on a whim. Later today, I am leading and joining with my colleagues, my fellow Democratic attorney generals, in suing this administration to stop this illegal freeze of essential funds for our state. We will not stand for any illegal policy that puts essential services for millions of Americans at risk. And we work tirelessly overnight to ensure that that does not happen. Our lawsuit will seek a court order to immediately stop the enforcement of the OMB policy and to preserve essential funding for Americans.
Yep, it's bluster. It's all bluster. It is not happening. When the right people complain, you know the right moves are being made. Don't you think? Democrats press White House to immediately undo memo freezing federal funding. They are out of their mind. We got this from Rick Scott. In 1 week, Obama had 13 nominees confirmed. Today is day 9 for Trump, and he's only had 5 confirmed. Senate Democrats are still obstructing the process, even delaying nominees everyone agrees on. This isn't due diligence. It's just more games to undermine Trump's America First agenda. President Trump, pro-life agenda in action in just 1 week. 9 major victories for life. Defunding Planned Parenthood overseas. Pardoning pro-life heroes. Declaring life begins at conception, and more. This is huge. Day 9 of the Trump presidency, and democracy hasn't ended yet. Remember they told you that? Democracy's in danger. He's a threat to democracy. Has our nation collapsed yet? The only thing collapsing are the people on the left, like Letitia James and Chuck Schumer. Okay? Oh, here we have, let's see. Trump is right. There is a giant spigot that can send more water to Southern California. It's the Jones Pumping Station, the Trump pump. Right next door is the Gavin pump. What's this guy have to say?
It's called the sea. So you know how all the journalists and the Democrats, when President Trump has been talking about the water situation here in California, and he talks about a giant spigot that you can turn to send more water from the north to the south, and they say, what's he talking about? He doesn't understand. There's no giant spigot. Well, there is actually, and I'm standing right in front of it. There it is, over my shoulder. It's called the C.W. Bill Jones Pumping Station, federally owned. Let's give it a simpler name. That is the Trump pump. And when he was president the first time around, President Trump ordered more water to be pumped from this pumping station, which has 6 giant pumps that lift up water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta and sends it south in the Delta-Mendota Canal. And President Trump ordered more water to be pumped here and sent south. So just up that road where I was at the Trump pump, you come to this. It's the entrance to the Harvey O. Banks Delta Pumping Plant, which is part of the state water project. You can think of this as Gavin's pump. This sends water into the California aqueduct, which is the state-owned part of the system. And guess what happened the last time when President Trump said more water should be sent in the federal system? California said less water should be sent into the California aqueduct through these pumps here. They retaliated by restricting the amount of water. Unbelievable. Why do they do that? Exactly as President Trump's been saying, to protect fish. Well, let's hope this time they have more common sense. And when President Trump orders more water to be sent through the federal Delta-Mendota Canal, the jokers in charge of California don't send less water through the Gavin pump here at the Banks pumping station. So you know how all the journalists and the Democrats...
Oh, yeah. The Gavin pumping station is a joke. Steve Forrest says, so now that Trump is president again, we're closer to doomsday? What a joke. Ignore the fear-mongering from the left. And that will change under Trump. So much winning. It is day 9. President Trump offering a buyout. This is so amazing, of all federal workers. Winning day 9. Reinstating service members discharged under military's COVID vaccination mandate. Restoring America's fighting force. Prioritizing military excellence and readiness. The Iron Dome for America. Baby, America is back, but France is freaking out. France is ready to deploy troops to Greenland and oppose the United States. French foreign minister says Relations between the U.S. and Europe are falling apart. French Foreign Minister Jean Norbert says that France has discussed with Denmark the possibility of deploying troops to Greenland in response to several threats recently by U.S. President Trump to annex the Danish territory. If Denmark calls for help, France will be there with other European Union countries who have expressed very strong support for Denmark during a recent meeting of the EU foreign ministers, with several considering also deploying troops to Greenland. Oh, yeah? Well, see, it's not about deploying troops to Greenland, all right? President Trump is going to let those people hold a vote, let their voice speak. We're not walking in there with tanks and guns and soldiers to take the land. It's not about that. Those people will have their voice be heard. Trump spoke to reporters on Air Force One last Saturday. He told a CNN journalist maybe a rich guy will buy CNN for cheap, and then goes on to answer a question about Greenland. Listen.
Maybe some rich guy will buy him cheap. But it's just the tone of your question every time. I think Greenland will be worked out with us. I think we're going to have it. And I think the people want to be with us. As you know, there's 55,000 people there. They want to be with us. I don't know really what claim Denmark has to it, but it would be a very unfriendly act if they didn't allow that to happen, because that's for protection of the free world. It's not for us, it's for the free world. Right now you have Russian ships, you have China ships, you have ships from various countries. It's not a good situation. And I believe we'll get that. Yeah, I do believe. I think we'll get other things too that you're talking about that nobody knows. But I think we'll get other things. But I do believe Greenland will get, because it really has to do with freedom of the world, not just freedom of. It has nothing to do with the United States, other than we're the one that can provide the freedom. They can't. They can't. I mean, they put 2 dog sleds there 2 weeks ago. They thought that was protection.
Are the other things Canada and Panama?
You know what the people don't like? People don't like the way they've been treated by Denmark. They don't like the way they've been treated by Denmark. And they do like us. Maybe some.
An inside source told me today that there are other European nations who want to join the United States. Think about that. Here we have Chrystia Freeland, who's in the running to lead Trudeau's Liberals in Canada, put together a laughable plan to defeat Trump. Her plan includes starting a trade war with the United States, a coalition with Mexico, Denmark, Panama, and the EU, a moratorium on importing U.S. goods, a ban on American private involvement in Canadian projects, a vague statement about fighting Trump's billionaire buddies, which would include everyone from Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg to Jeff Bezos and literally everybody in Silicon Valley. Yeah, that is the Chrystia Freeland, the liberal side of Canada. Yeah, good luck with that, guys. You guys can piss and moan all you want, but we have the larger economy, and we will prevail. Okay, what else have we got here? We've got Letitia James. We covered that. We got the spigots. We got the lies. We got Denmark. We've got more. Let's see. Oh, yes, of course. We do definitely need to have her join in with the purchase of Greenland. And then U.S. President Donald Trump said that Chinese startup DeepSeek's technology should spur American companies, and said it was good that companies in China come up with a cheaper, faster method of artificial intelligence. I believe these are his remarks in Miami to the Congressional Institute yesterday.
To win.
Donald Trump says news of Chinese AI system DeepSeek should be seen as a positive. The US president said it should just spur American tech firms to do better.
The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser focused on competing to win, because we have the greatest scientists in the world. Even Chinese leadership told me that.
Trump was speaking in Miami on Monday after news about DeepSeek sparked a global stock sell-off. Traders dumped big tech names following reports that the Chinese system could match or beat US rivals at a fraction of the cost. That raised questions over whether future demand for chips and data centers would be as huge as expected, making Nvidia the day's big loser. The AI.
So we've got China developing their own AI systems now that are competing with U.S. domestic corporations. We've got the left putting out false narratives. Trump turning on the spigots in California. A new press secretary, Letitia James, melting down. Sean Duffy confirmed. Yes, hitting the ground running. Donald Trump is at it right now, folks, and it's only day 9. Day 9. And Mark Milley, oh, thank you, Jesus, stripped of his security detail and his clearance. He needs to be court-martialed immediately. I don't care how many pardons that guy got from Crooked Joe. He needs to speak. But I think one of the greatest pieces of news right now is the fact that we have an opportunity to cut so much fat from the federal government because he's offering these buyouts. But don't worry, the Danes are still pissed.
It's an Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, f*** off.
Yeah. Sure, I think he's going to take that as a challenge. So there you have it. Well, Denmark's parliament members throw tantrums, and French officials make empty threats about deploying troops to Greenland. And government workers are on the chopping block. President Trump is methodically reshaping the global order. He's restored water to California farmers, exposed the absurdity of European environmental policies like Denmark's cow flatulent tax, and sent a clear message to the world: America is back, baby. The real question isn't whether Trump can acquire Greenland, it's whether the European Union could survive his second term. So what do you think? Is Europe's panic a sign of their weakness? Or is this the beginning of a major global realignment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of global domination, dominate your wardrobe with our exclusive Mag Avengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Check it out in the comments below.